Everyone, we've got Brett Norton with us here today, one of our owners, been with the stable for a few years now, and he's our next guest on Having a Sip. Thanks for joining us, Brett.
Thanks for having me, Mitch. Looking forward to it.
Now, we've just briefly had a discussion. I'm at work, so when in work, I'm on the water, and we've probably been missing what we've been having a sip of in the last few episodes. But what are you on there, Brett?
I do have a Corona, mate. So as long as you don't tell our viewers what time it is, we should be all right.
Yeah, I'll put the curtains closed so they won't be able to tell where the sun is or whatever else. So we should be okay.
Beautiful.
We'll kick it off with how you first become interested in racing.
Yeah, I guess like most of your guests or like most of us, your parents are a big influence. So my dad was a TAB agent when I was young. So I remember when I was crook and off school, I'd head into the Footscray TAB on Geelong Road. They were kind of my earliest memories of racing, though I must say in my early years, I was probably more interested in the stationery he had behind the jump than the actual races. Another thing was my uncle trained and drove trotters as I was growing up. He still trains now, Danny Norris. And Dad had a fair bit of success as an owner with him. So we'd be out at Moody Valley most weekends, like you, I guess, and didn't really have a choice. I was kind of thrust into it.
Yeah, some good memories from those trotting meetings at Moody Valley. But obviously, unfortunately, the trots left there, and I reckon it took a bit away the theatre of it all, and probably took away the draw card of going to the trots on a weekend.
Yeah.
What about your best wins on a racetrack?
Yeah, this was a good question because you get to think about some of your best days. Ours would definitely be, or mine as an owner would definitely be our first horse. She was a filly named More For Me. She was trained by Peter Moody. She debuted in a 2-year-old race at Sandown on the Anzac Day weekend. Me and a couple of the owners had been at the footy the day before and had a rather large night after a Collingwood come from behind win. So spoiler alert, I am a Collingwood supporter. Don't hold it against me. It was raining in the morning. It was pelting down, and it was the classic message of whatever she does today, she'll improve on, and she's bound to do things wrong. So we were kind of dreading the drive out to Sandown there from Werribee with our sore heads. Long story short, she ends up winning the race. We carry on like we've won a Group 1 and celebrated for about 3 weeks. To this day, that's still the most elated I reckon I've ever been in my life, to be honest, not just on a race course. So that was a fantastic memory. Staying with the same horse, we followed her up to Scone for the listed Woodlands Classic at Scone for her next start. That was one of the great racing trips. We flew to Newcastle where we hired a car and drove from Newcastle to Muswellbrook where we stayed in a motor inn and made friends with the publican next door. We caught a bus to the Scone Racecourse where she started $2.30 favourite in a listed race and unfortunately ran third, but one of the best trips of my life. And just for those that are heading up to country New South Wales or that do know anything about country New South Wales, a bit of a tip for those that are travelling. We found out that in country New South Wales, you can't get a meal at a pub on a Saturday night. We walked all the way through the main street of Muswellbrook, and every time we asked if they were doing meals, we got looked at like we had two heads. And the other thing that you'll note is all the RSLs that do meals on Saturday nights tend to do all-you-can-eat Chinese, which was a bit of an eye-opener. So all-you-can-eat Chinese it was.
It sounds like a good trip. I have heard good things about that Scone Carnival. I'm a big advocate for the Warrnambool Carnival, and it sounds like a good trip. It probably would have to take a back seat to the New Zealand trip now, surely.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. That's the best, I guess, non-running trip of my life where I didn't have a runner, and I have been lucky enough to be to the Warrnambool Carnival as well in my short time as 5 or 6 years as an owner with you. You were able to get me a runner there, and I always said I wouldn't go until I had a runner. So you got me on course there, which was fantastic.
Happy days. And what about the question we like to ask is if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So it's either racing's near misses or an opportunity you look back on and then wish it had turned out a different way.
Yeah, this has been my my favourite one to listen in on to the previous segments. But when it's yourself, it opens up some old wounds. So thanks for that one, mate. Oh, look, I got two examples in one story. Trust me, there's plenty, and I could go through them all day. But as a flow on from that day at Sandown, the horses in second and third behind our horse went by the names of Hassan Eagle and Bondiga. For those that have good memories, Bondiga was a huge run behind us in third, and the strapper was just as elated as our connection. So one of our group asked her, "Where's that horse going?" To which she replied, "We think he's a Derby horse." So with plenty of liquid encouragement in our celebrations and our winnings in our pockets, we start knocking off the 151s for the horse that's everywhere for the Derby. We kept backing it as the weeks went on, 81s, 61s, 41s. Until he won a 78 over the mile at Caulfield and he became unders, so we stopped there. For those that remember the 2014 Derby, the story goes he starts $9 in the Derby. If you've got a good memory, you'll know that him and Preferment end up in a two-horse war down the Flemington Straight, and Bondiga heads him at the 100, only to go down a short half head on the line. So that was a real leveller, I must admit, and taught me that in futures you should probably always have something on the place just in case.
Or lay off on the day.
Yeah, exactly right. I was a young bloke of only 21 or 22, I think, or 23. I was quite young and yeah, still learning as we all are on the punt. But another one just to roll into that story, to rub salt in the wound. Our horse, More For Me, ended up with Chris Muntz in Queensland and never won another race after her maiden win at Sandown in her 15 starts before we sold her as a broodmare. We got a bit of money for her at the end, so it wasn't all lost. But the second horse, Hassan Eagles, won 1.2 million, and Bondiga's won over 700 or had won over 750,000. So yeah, it wasn't the runner that you wanted to be with out of that race, that's for sure.
And obviously, you mentioned it a bit earlier on about working at Moody Valley in the racing club there. What's your role there, and what does sort of a week, throughout the year and then at carnival time sort of entail for you?
Yeah, so I work in the HR team at Moody Valley Racing Club. I've been there for 5 years, so 5 of the best years to be working for the club, I guess, with Winx 4 and League Shoe last year, and then another international this year, although it was a different Cox Plate. We run pretty lean, even though we are a metro race club. Everyone kind of pitches in, especially around carnival time. You'll find that a lot of staff are doing things that are definitely not in their job description, but I guess that's the love of it. We've got a lot of passionate staff that love the club and love the race, the history that comes with it. So anything that we can be doing to help around carnival time, we roll up our sleeves and get it done. And just for an example is, on Cox Plate Day this year, I was working on the mounting yard gate. So you might have seen me on TV with the mask on there, but it's just, you do whatever needs to be done, and you would just want the carnival to go as well as it can, as we add another legend to the history books. It's such a special race, so to be involved in it every year is just fantastic.
Well, if you didn't have a gold jacket on and carry on with the behaviour of some of those folks, I'll let you off being the gateman.
No, I didn't. And no. Some of the guys do a fantastic job. They've been there 25, 30 years. So, yeah, they've got some stories, that's for sure.
Definitely. What about coming into our stable? How did you become involved? And then also, do you breed the horses or do you buy them?
Yeah, I guess for us, after Peter Moody bowed out, who we had our horses with, I was speaking to Jared Fry, who I'm good mates with. We went to high school together, and obviously he's ridden quite a lot for the stable over a number of years. And I think at the time, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago, you and him were having quite a bit of luck early days when you'd stepped out on your own, and all he wanted to tell me about was this trainer, Mitch Freedman, and I kind of knew your background from being the foreman at Warrnambool. And look, we kind of a young group of owners, and probably me growing this isolation beard doesn't suit your narrative, probably trying to get one of the younger owners on. But yeah, I guess I wanted to be pointed in a direction of someone that was young that we could kind of grow with as owners. and there was only one direction he wanted to point me in at the time. So he soldiered pretty well, mate, I must admit.
Very good. He's done a lot of riding for the stable over the years, and continues to do some riding. So building good relationships wherever he can. Sort of wrap it up with our standard questions, and we've got a few there. The back marker or front runner?
Yeah, a bit of a sucker for punishment. Not a fan of watching my horses be meek on the line or puncture 100 out and get swamped. So I'm definitely a back marker. You can kind of leave the course bullish even if you don't win. If you were strong through the line, you could have even run a good 5th or 6th, and you leave telling yourself that you might get them next time. It's kind of a little bit easier to be pleased with the run. So yeah, definitely like something that's finishing off and strong through the line. And then
got the next question. And we've had a little bit of a pre-play at these and just a bit of a guide, and you've noted in here that you're really strong on these next two. So we're going with a Palmer or a Palmy? Yeah,
Palmer. Really strong on that.
That's very good. I can't even say Palmy properly, so you know which way I lean. And the tomato sauce in the cupboard or in the fridge?
Definitely in the cupboard, mate. And still boggles the mind that some people put in the fridge, but don't want to alienate anyone there.
No, we've agreed there, and we'll allow you to continue on in the ownership group based on those.
Yeah, no, that's all good. And then I guess back to one of the earlier questions around breeding or buying, we buy a small percentage in a couple of horses, 1 or 2 a year. That's kind of our model, and that's what we can afford, and that's what we want to do. We want to kind of diversify the risk and have a smaller percentage in more horses. That's kind of how we see it, and having a bit of success doing that. So continue to do that, and that way we can kind of look at 1 or 2 each year, and yeah, have a couple running around for us and a bit of interest. That's for sure.
That's it's a bit of a breath of fresh air having some young guys in the horses and a good relationship with you guys. Unfortunately, the Ballarat Cup Day marquee looks like it won't be proceeding this year, or won't be proceeding this year, and that's disappointing that we don't sort of catch up with you young guys and have a beer and have a chat. But thanks for joining us, and we really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, mate. And we'll definitely miss that Ballarat Cup Day marquee. It's a fantastic day.